UFC 172 review, the Bendybotcast with Justin Capsuto.
One and only.
One and only. Okay, so. We had a couple undercard shows or undercard fights.
Indeed.
Indeed we did. Oddly enough, we were kind of slightly distracted. So things happened. We'll skip to the Jim Miller fight.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of that one?
I mean,
You're at a loss for words.
Yeah. Not really with it right now.
Drink some more of that Red Bull.
Yeah, I think I do need some more Red Bull for sure.
Austrian born, made in Switzerland. Do it now. It's not a tumor.
I thought it was a good fight. I mean, Miller definitely kept the pressure going, and I don't really know what to say too much about it. I mean, it was
a quick fight, and on top of that, we were unlike the previous pay-per-views, so on and so forth. We were slightly distracted. We always had like this side conversation going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jim Miller guillotine choke won.
Mm-hmm.
Next match, Luke Rockhold versus...
Yeah, that was the match that really kind of rekindled my interest in what we were doing. I mean, not that I wasn't interested before, just
some dude named
I brought a
Botch.
new guitar in, so naturally, we were a little distracted there. But yeah,
Justin's over here showing off his new piece of wood.
That's right. Only for you. Shh! Don't tell others. Shh.
Yeah.
No.
So,
yeah. What was the guy's name? Rockport. What the hell's his name?
Luke Rockhold.
Rockhold.
Seriously,
Rockhold,
this guy could pass for like the Patrick Bateman of the UFC.
in terms of his looks, for sure.
In terms of his looks, and probably like, I bet you anything, he'll go for like, what's the word I'm looking for? He could probably go for that psychotic, quote unquote, persona
easily,
and pull it off very well and be top of his ranks in the middleweight division.
Mm-hmm.
I think something like that could happen. The only thing that pissed me off which is what I asked you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody named the American Psycho in the UFC?
Well, yeah, Stephan Bonner already has that moniker, so you can't exactly take that away from him. He had it first. But to be honest,
I think you get fight for it.
Well, yeah, I think that should be the case too. But I'm never really, not that I don't respect Stephan Bonner. He's a good fighter. He's good at what he does, but he's nothing special in my opinion. Whereas Rockhold, on the other hand, is certainly...
He probably impressed the shit out of you tonight. Huh?
Oh, no, he did, for sure. I mean, that was some amazing grappling. I haven't seen grappling that good since Verdum. And...
Fabricio
Verdum and Parisian as well. And I just thought the way he was already getting into two submissions. He had the triangle choke going, and he also had... what else did he have going?
The armbar.
The armbar as well. And I just thought that was very impressive in how quickly he was sprawling with his opponent and how quickly that match ended. That was just insanely fast. Like I said, the quickest match, the only other match I've seen that even kind of resembled that was Verdum versus, what's his name? Russian fighter. Come on. I'm trying to remember his name.
Use your thinking brain.
Yeah, it's been a long day.
Understand.
It's on the tip of my tongue. Very, very famous fighter.
Use your
Fedor Emelianenko.
Okay.
And that fight ended in like 30 seconds. It was an absolute laughing stock. It was a farce for Fedor, just because he was kind of promoted to be this kind of invincible champion. And don't get me wrong, he's a phenomenal fighter, but
everybody can be beaten even on their best day.
Absolutely. And by that point, he was already done. He was ready to retire. But I digress. Yeah, Rockhold is a very impressive fighter. It was my first time ever actually seeing him fight. Funny enough, and I've been following MMA for many years now.
And funny enough, it took an event for me to show you.
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, I watch MMA, but not nearly as much as I used to. I used to be a fanatic. Like, I'd watch it, like, every day, and I just don't have time for it anymore. Because I'm working full time and all that. But yeah, I mean, if it were up to me, I'd be watching it a lot more. Just
But it's great that we can have this connection now, because
Absolutely.
I know for a fact, like, you follow it for a while, and I've recently come into it, and I was just like, you know what, I have not so much the ability, but what's the word I'm looking for? I do, I guess I would use the word ability to get these fights, quote unquote, on demand,
right.
and we can hang out here and view them, check them out, review them, and yeah, it's another thing we can discuss, us being friends, as opposed to like the just whole well, we're just music guys, or
Sure.
we're just friends, we know each other since high school. No, we're passionate about this stuff, we're learning it, we're
Absolutely.
we're having fun with it, we're watching this, we're riffing on it as well.
Right.
Like, come on, like, really.
That's how. I mean, that's
how many times
it
I
is.
say, "Give me hugs," and these guys are fucking like tied up right now.
Right. Right. No, I mean, definitely, it's a good thing that we're doing this and we're watching the fights, because as you watch more of them, you start to learn what all the moves are.
I impressed you tonight a couple times.
Oh yeah,
That's interesting.
I've because I've seen how far you've come in terms of your knowledge base. In terms of the names of the moves, how they're executed.
True.
You even started looking at what other people could have been doing instead of just sitting there breathing on each other, which yeah, exactly. It gets really old when especially when you're another martial artist and you're watching these two guys fight.
Right.
And you see all these openings, you're like, why don't you do that? Oh, why don't you do that? I would have done this. It's of course it's easier said than done. When you're there in the moment, you got all that
always
adrenaline.
easier said than done.
Got all that adrenaline running through you, and there's so many variables that it's sometimes you get a little tripped up. But
Well, think about it. Like, I'm not gonna name names, but in one of the fights, like one of the arms was just hanging out for a
yeah,
long period
we'll
of time.
get to that fight later.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah,
Luke Rockhold wins via submission with this
an amazing submission.
amazing submission, like a dual triangle choke armbar thing.
And what I liked about it, his technique was flawless, just like Lombard.
Hector Lombard.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and I think that those two are in a class of their own. When you have technical fighters like that, who know exactly how to position their body, how to position the body of their opponent, and how to knock them off balance. In the same way, you see how he watched how his opponent was trying to hold himself up with that one arm, and he then took control of that arm and kind of rolled him over. That's when the fight was officially over, as far as I was concerned. Once he had that balance completely taken away from him, and all that leverage and pressure was against his neck,
He was fine.
it was done. It was absolutely done.
Like, hey, so done deal.
It was flawless too. That's a real that black belt he earned in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was well earned for sure. You can tell he had good instructors. You can always tell by how quickly a martial artist exploits that weakness, and Rockhold did that with absolute flawless technique.
He did. He won it good, and he won it quick. Like that sprawl that he got, and into that roll, and right into that triangle with his legs.
Yeah, I mean his opponent had no answer for it.
Hey
one.
man, what the fuck's going on?
Pretty much, just had that dumbfounded look on his face, like, "Oh fuck, I'm done." Shit, that look of dread. But at the same time, I'm not disparaging his opponent. I'm just saying it does take a lot of balls to get in that arena. A lot of people talk their shit, but at the end of the day, when I have a lot of respect for anybody who can get in there and put themselves out there like that. So props to both contenders.
Props to anybody that steps inside that freaking octagon, dude.
For sure.
Because they obviously either they earned it or they really parlayed their way into it.
Sure.
So, stepping out to the next one, Phil Davis versus Anthony Rumble Johnson, light heavyweight division.
Right.
Supposedly, from what I've heard, Anthony Johnson used to be a welterweight. He's sitting pretty at a 205 right now.
Yep.
Would you imagine what it's like to cut really like 30-some pounds just to meet your division requirements, and then train and fight? I'm like, wow, that's a hefty task. What's your take on that?
It is definitely a hefty task. It's very rough on on the body is we've discussed before, and we discussed this with Cyborg coming in to fight Rousey, which would be awesome, by the way.
It may happen.
It may, but talk is cheap.
Future discussion.
Let's hope. Anyway, you have to fight at what's most comfortable for you as a fighter. Like I can't imagine constantly having to cut weight, gain weight in rapid succession, so to speak. I mean, it's just, to me, and you could see by the way he was fighting tonight that was more comfortable for him.
Obviously.
And the way he fought and just how he was able to counter everything that was coming toward him. Like, his opponent kept trying to take him down, and he would just... one of my favorite evasions, if you want to, or counters of the night, was when his opponent was kind of rushing toward him in an attempt to
do a takedown,
get a double leg takedown. And what he did is he kind of moved off to the side a little bit, and he extended his arm into the opponent's neck, and he extended the arm, and he used his own momentum against him and just forced him away and sent the other guy tumbling.
How judo of him.
Very, very judo, or aikido even. Aikido is very much like that too, where you're using your opponent's momentum against them. And that's why grappling, throwing, a lot of those arts are considered what they call soft arts. Not in the sense that they're weak, but in the sense that they don't use internal power. They use the power of your opponent against them.
They're more defense oriented.
More defensive. That's probably a better way
as opposed to offensive. Like, you're not going to strike, but you're going to.
You can still make them offensive. It's just it's probably more on the side of defense, but at the same time, I mean, if you know where to lock the arm and use that leverage,
right?
Versus it's basically soft arts use leverage instead of power. Whereas something like a karate art or a striking art of some sort, you're using the force of your body to inflict the damage versus using leverage, which is more about gravity. It's more about using one's opponent against one's energy against them.
I really hold on.
Coors time.
Like I'm a Coors. But Bruce Lee said it best. Make yourself like water. Water is the hardest and the softest stuff in the world.
It is.
You can fit it in any container. You can smash rock with water. Make yourself like water.
Right. Basically take the form of whatever fight you're in.
Yeah.
And that's why his philosophies have survived even to today. I mean, he was considered the modern grandfather of mixed martial arts, and he really was. He and another martial artist, I always butcher his name. His name is, I believe it's, what is it? Arnis. He's one of the.
What did he do?
He brought. I'll just say this. He brought back ancient Greek pankration, which pankration was the actual art that predated mixed martial arts. It was an ancient Olympic martial art, which encompassed boxing, wrestling, grappling, and some kicking techniques as well. A lot of the same techniques that were used then are still used today. A lot of the inward, like stomping kicks, were used. A lot the gut kick or the gastrizen was used. A lot of shoulder locks, the Achilles lock, all of that stuff. Arm bars, and the main difference is, well, there are a lot of differences. One main difference being that in the ancient sport, you could kill your opponent, and that would still be considered a win,
as opposed to a tap out or a TKO.
If you tapped, you could still tap out. If in ancient pankration, if you tapped out, the fight would be over, but you would also be disgraced as well. So it was kind of a.
It's like either you really win, or you really lose.
Right. And,
situation.
And to tap out was like a great. It was like shame.
Great dishonor to your family.
Pretty much. And it was just better to die. Let's put it that way. But
it's like kind of like the whole fight or die.
Pretty much. Pretty much. A lot of the same concepts have survived from then. But yeah, Arnis, I forget his last name, but he's a Greek fighter, and he brought back pankration. And a lot of the techniques that he brought back are now used in MMA.
Oh.
A lot of the concepts, like, if you actually look at ancient Greek boxing, a lot of it is very similar to Wing Chun. You wouldn't believe it, but if you looked at it...
I'm sorry, repeat that again?
Ancient Greek boxing is very similar to Wing Chun. It sounds ridiculous.
Wang Chung, the 80s band?
Not Wang Chun.
Everybody have fun tonight.
Yeah, that's it.
Everybody have fun tonight. We had to have fun with that.
Of course.
Sorry.
Of course.
Explain more, sir.
Well, just in terms of the inverted punching techniques, a lot of the deflecting techniques as well are very prominent in Wing Chun, and a lot of people think that martial arts started in Asia, and it's true that a lot of it was developed there, but I think more so, especially modern fighting, the way we see it today, was actually developed in ancient Greece.
Really?
The Spartans used it. Various hoplite armies, the Athenians used a lot of pancration. Alexander the Great's army, when
Russell Crowe used it in Gladiator.
Right. Not really.
trying to keep the pop culture thing going here, but nonetheless, continue.
So I didn't mean to turn this a review of the fight into a history lesson, but
no problem.
But I think it's just important for our listeners to know where it actually came from. I don't think it's spoken of enough, to be honest.
It isn't. It is because everybody dwells on the present and what's going on currently.
Yeah.
And sometimes all you really have to do is take a little bit of history lesson and dive back, read some stuff, and basically you're going to get everything you need to know.
Right.
That's the funny thing about history.
Right.
All you have to do is just turn the pages back a little bit.
Sure.
Read about it and realize this is the exact same thing, but hey,
more modern. It's been modernized.
Yes, exactly.
And it's wonderful to see, people like Bruce Lee, then, in modern days, revitalize just the concept of mixing various arts together, and not exactly that's why he was so effective, in the sense that he didn't limit himself. And you always see that the fighters in the ring, in the octagon, I should say, the ones who are most successful are the ones who have more of a varied background. The guys who just are a one-trick pony don't last. As I was discussing with you earlier, Kimbo Slice is a primary example of that. Just a backyard brawler, a boxing type brawler,
bare knuckle type guy, from what you explained to me.
Right, yeah, and the guy, don't get me wrong, he's got some strong hands. He really does. He's a
fine.
beast.
You know what? Take up boxing. Go against freaking
right.
Who's that really? Oh,
Manny Pacquiao.
Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather. They go up against those guys.
Yeah, he wouldn't last.
Because right now, excuse me,
demonic.
Drinking the Coors. Funny enough, I would like to see more people pay attention to MMA and UFC as opposed to boxing.
Same here. Although a lot of the boxing purists will totally disagree with that. A lot of them think that MMA is shit, and a lot of them think that if a MMA fighter were to go into boxing, that they would lose. And I would say to them, well, the same is true if a boxer were to come into MMA. They wouldn't have shit
They'd
to
have
show
their
for
legs
it.
kicked out from in front of them.
And that's where a boxer's main strength comes from, is from their footwork, or any martial artist, I should say, because without footwork, you don't have a damn thing. I'm sorry to say.
If he can't stand, he can't fight.
Well, yeah. That and
Terry Silver said it best in freaking Karate Kid 3.
Oh,
man can't stand, he can't fight. A man can't breathe, he can't fight.
Yeah.
A man can't see, he can't fight. Quicksilver! Come on!
All right.
I don't know why that came out, but fucking hell, dude.
I have no idea. Only you would bring up a Karate Kid reference.
It made the most sense to me with what you were saying, and on top of that, that's a total fucking heel tactic, and I'm all about heel tactics.
No, I hear you. It
always about being a bad guy. Come on now.
Yeah, of course.
Justin's a good guy trying to be the bad guy, trying to be the good guy.
Yeah, that's it.
I'll pay for it. Oh, wait, is there a discount?
Of course, you had to get in the Jew joke there, in any broadcast, no matter what we're doing.
No matter what, no matter where.
It's
always going to happen.
You Ukrainians are cowardly.
I don't know if I'm going to be Russian or Ukrainian right now. Dude.
Yeah, I know.
Vladimir Putin's freaking inviting.
Yeah, I guess so, because you guys are too chicken shit to fight back. Anyway, on to other news.
So the main event of UFC
Right.
172, as we totally fucking digress and come full circle.
Right, as we do. As we often do. Stop it, Ben!
Stop it now. Stop doing that.
All right. You were saying?
Oh my god. Fun times, sir. Fun times. John Bones Jones, the current UFC light heavyweight champion, versus, and I'm trying not to butcher his name, Glover Teixeira,
Yep.
the Brazilian guy.
Yep. And this fight went
Mr.
very...
Blet.
Yeah. We will get to that in a minute, folks. We promise.
That will be explained a little bit later.
It was a good fight. Not the best performance I've seen from John Bones Jones, honestly. I expected that fight to end a lot sooner. And I do give...
Let me ask you this. What did you expect it to end by? Via TKO or submission?
I expected a submission because John's background is mostly Greco-Roman wrestling, as I was discussing before when we touched upon his background on our last broadcast.
Right.
He's a very talented grappling specialist. His framework is in wrestling, but I love how he's incorporated Muay Thai and various striking arts into what he does, and I think that makes him a far more effective fighter than most. And that's why he's retained that championship belt for so long, and it's well earned.
It's not a belt; it's a title.
Well, same damn difference.
I say that because I'm a wrestling fan.
Yeah,
I know the stigma that goes behind it. But anyway,
semantics, Ben. Semantics.
You're a schematic.
And Sheila.
No, right.
No.
They're serving hot dogs at Patty.
No, let's just stop this broadcast and go. How big are the sausages? All right, let's stop.
8 inches are bigger, honey.
Oh, Jesus. No. What were we talking about again? Oh, yeah.
Men fighting each other.
Oh, yes. No, I thought that it was a good fight. Don't get me wrong. I mean, John really kept the pressure on, but I thought he got a little gas, too. More
he
than
may
usual.
have got gas, and on top of that, like, just as far as I know, he could be a right-handed fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Did not see that right hand throw a lot.
Right.
More so left hand and right elbows.
Right. Well, I mean, I think what he was trying to do, he's trying to offset his opponent by using left-handed strikes. Because a lot of guys, like, they'll attack the weaker side of their opponent. Like, they'll train the opposing side. Like, if I'm weak with my right side, they'll train.
All right.
You know, and accordingly, excuse me. So, probably there was a lot of that going on from what I saw. There were a lot of really nice elbows that were executed by...
very nice elbows.
John Jones.
Mm-hmm.
But I was kind of expecting, to answer your question, I was expecting the fight to end in some sort of submission, maybe like a rear naked choke, or perhaps an armbar or something to that effect, because that's normally how the majority of his fights have ended. Although
that was his cup of tea, in a way.
Yeah, and there was this one, I can't remember the name of the submission he used against Lyoto Machida, but it was a standing submission. It was very, very unique to wrestling. He basically had, from what I remember, his arm was locked. He had Lyoto's arm locked, and he had pressure on the back of his neck and on the front of his neck as well. So he had the arm wrapped around, and he had him pushed against the
cage.
The cage. And with all that pressure going against the neck, Lyoto Machida could not get out because Jones's legs were also wrapped around Machida's.
That's an interesting one.
It was very, very strange. It's the first time I've ever seen it used in MMA.
I'll have to look that up.
It was basically, he held the choke for a good 20 seconds, 20, 30 seconds.
Really?
And when he released it, Lyoto Machida fell over like a sack of potatoes, just lumped down on
dead
the ground.
weight.
Oh, yeah, dead weight. Boom.
Flop.
I was hoping to see an awesome submission like that.
But were you kind of surprised to see it go the distance, the whole five?
I was,
rounds?
and I give Grover a lot of...
Grover?
What was his name? Glover. Oh, God.
Glover Teixeira. You said Grover.
You know what? That was a Freudian slip because you kept calling him Grover.
I kept calling him Grover for some reason.
Jeez.
Because it slips out so easily. It's like, you say Glover Teixeira, Glover Teixeira.
And we're also talking about Grover tuners on the fucking guitar, too, so that doesn't exactly help.
I was actually talking about Grover from Sesame
Well,
Street.
I know you were, but we
that
also...
wimpy blue character.
Yeah, I know who Grover
Big Bird
is.
can kick his ass.
All right. I'm sure he could. I'd probably pay to see that.
Big Bird versus Grover. UFC 177.
God. That'd be
Ronda
awful.
Rousey gets the champion.
That'd be something
The
else.
Sesame Street champion, Grover. That'd be fucking great, dude.
Man. And then you'd see Teletubbies entering the fight. Wonderful.
And now they'd be kicked out. I don't know why, but they'd be kicked out. Like, no, we don't need your whatever type peoples here.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, let's... Moving on.
Moving on.
Yeah. But yeah, the fight was really interesting. It just, I was expecting it to be a little bit more fast paced, and it did get pretty awesome at times, especially when, as we were discussing earlier, as John Jones kept knocking out Glover's
Teixeira's mouthpiece
about 3 or 4 times.
It happened at least 4 times.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
And what is it? Dan Mugliata, aka Stone Cold Steve Austin, as a ref.
Yeah.
He said, "Hey, oh wait, come here." He grabbed the mouthpiece, pulled it off the freaking canvas, and have his corner man douse it with water. Put that in your mouth. Put it in your mouth. Don't do that again.
Right. You told him several times.
So it happened 3 times, and on top of that, what else happened in that fight? That not Glover.
John Jones. Yeah. This is one thing that kind of
finger poke.
A lot of finger poke
of death.
I guess you could call it that. I guess what was annoying about it is just he kept extending his hand to keep his opponent at a distance.
He was pawing him.
He was pawing at him. And I understand why he does it. Again, it's not disallowed. You can do that in MMA.
Right.
But I just felt like it led to too many, as you said, eye gouging type moves. Because he wasn't keeping his fingers locked. Like for example, in the martial art Hungar.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like Muay Thai style stances in that.
As we're demonstrating visually on this radio show.
Right, exactly. Basically, it's a clenched palm, if you want to call it a clenched palm. The fingers are all together, and
you are very stiff.
The hands are raised in a higher position, so that way you're able to guard the upper part of the body. But that wasn't really what was being used, though. It was more so like he was keeping his fingers apart, like as a way of pushing his opponent away, and I get that. I understand why he was doing it.
He was keeping him at bay, keeping him at distance.
But at the same time, it left too many opportunities for illegal moves to be executed, which happened. I mean, he poked him in the eye.
He poked him in the eye a couple of times.
Yeah,
I know at least one time during the match.
I saw it happen a few times that weren't caught by the ref.
Here's one thing that happened. Like, I think he, quote unquote, accidentally poked him in the eye and said, "Hey, bro, sorry," and they kind of like slapped hands.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Good sportsmanship.
But the thing is that it shouldn't happen that way.
No, it shouldn't.
That period shouldn't happen. It's like, okay, you realize you poked someone in the eye one time should be enough.
Right.
And on top of that, he got warned a couple times by the ref.
Yeah.
And no points.
Right.
No points were taken off.
See, that I felt was a bit unfair because that's going to leave your opponent at a disadvantage, especially if you're effing with their eyesight. I mean, that's just...
like, how am I going to hit you if I can't see?
Well, yeah. But I felt that he should have been penalized for that because he should know better, being a champion and all. I just think it was just a stupid move. I understand why he was doing it. It's not disallowed. In terms of keeping the opponent at bay, not the eye gouging part is definitely not allowed.
True.
But, I think that he should not use that in the future. And also, there were plenty of times when he could have used...
Glover Teixeira could have used that hand out.
Yeah,
to his,
as
to
I
his,
was discussing earlier with you, as a martial artist, I saw that and I was like, why doesn't he just turn that into an arm lock? Or, you could turn that into an
arm bar,
flying
a
arm
takedown,
bar. Absolutely. So many different things.
There were so many possibilities that could have worked out in that situation. And
you could have turned it into a sweep. He could have extended the arm, put pressure on the shoulder, pushing his body back, and then using his leg to sweep John's leg from underneath him and take him down. It would have been like an easy takedown for him. But instead, I mean, I was very disappointed with Glover just because as you were saying earlier, he was just mostly relying on boxing, purely on boxing. I didn't really see.
He just wanted to hit things, I guess.
Yeah, and
which is fine. There's nothing wrong with wanting to hit things.
In MMA, there is something wrong with that. You have to have a battle plan. You have to have some sort of way to counteract what your opponent is doing, because the fact that everything within reason anyway.
Mm-hmm. No 12-6.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can't do that. You can't,
nonetheless, go ahead.
Well, aside from the rules we already know, you have to be able to have an answer for it. You have to be able to counter what your opponent is doing. If you don't study grappling, if you don't study various striking arts, you're not going to have an answer. And he didn't. All 5 rounds I scored for John. If I were a judge, and sure enough, that's how it went. Like they showed the percentage of strikes landed.
Yeah.
They showed the percentage of takedowns. It was easily
all the stats came up, and it was always
John's favor.
And
I knew it was going to turn out that way. Somehow I knew. I mean, he's a great fighter anyway, but
nonetheless, and on top of that, a great young fighter. This kid is going to fucking grow.
For sure. And he's already shown that. From the time when I first saw him, the first fight I ever saw him in was against Stephan Bonnar a few years ago.
Is this the one that, quote unquote, is called the American Psycho?
Yes.
Yeah, he needs to relinquish that title.
Yeah, agreed.
Hand it off to Luke Rockhold.
Agreed. I think Rockhold is a far better fighter, in my opinion. But, different strokes for different folks, I guess. But yeah, John Jones, I just thought that he had pretty flawless technique for the most part. I mean, there were a couple of strikes that just missed, but you just have to take that risk. But yeah, as I was saying, the first fight I ever saw him in was against Stephan Bonnar, and everything Stephan Bonnar tried did not work. John was dodging around him. He was throwing these nasty, like Muay Thai style combinations, kneeing him in the abdomen.
Knee to the groin. Knee to the groin.
No, that's not allowed. But
anyway,
yeah, he threw a lot of really nasty elbows, and the move that finished the fight was a nasty spinning back knuckle strike which struck Bonnar in I think it was the left temple.
Oh,
and he just like Machida, like he just fell right to the floor. That was it.
Like
it
a
was
sack of
done.
bricks, right?
Yeah, like
nothing now.
Exactly, and that point the fight was over. I mean, it was done. And that's why I was kind of expecting something like that tonight, because if you look at all of his previous fights, like with Machida, with Bonnar, who else did he fight? I can't remember his other opponents, but I've been following him for a while now, and they've been far more interesting. And they've never gone the distance, but the thing that I prefer a good technical fight. I don't care if the fight is
short
shorter.
Or long. Like you said earlier tonight.
Yeah.
When we watched the Luke Rockhold, Tim Butch, I don't know how you say his last name, fight.
Yeah.
You were
that guy.
I told you, because I'd seen this fight beforehand, and we're doing a very late review on it, which is no big deal.
Sure.
Justin's like, I'm not going to pay for these fights.
No, of course not. Too Jewish.
I'll wait till my friend
I'm too Jewish for that.
and we'll do this, and we'll do the whole review thing, and he'll buy me a energy drink.
Yeah, that's why I did it. I'm totally in it for the energy drinks, Ben. That's why I'm here. No energy drink, I'm fucking out of here. Screw this.
See ya. By the way, 2 for $5 Red Bull, 12 ounce at CircleK.com.
You
get on it.
You are shameless.
And I'm making money.
I'll make what?
But like you said, you would sooner see a quick technical fight as opposed to a long, boring fight.
Exactly.
Christian Mpumbu versus Rampage Jackson in Bellator. What the fuck was that?
I don't know.
Christian Mpumbu head dance.
Why are we even talking about them? In fact,
it's a good comparison. I find it funny. But nonetheless, Luke Rockhold fucking locked it up within, a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Great technical fight. He knew what he was doing.
Absolutely. And like
long, boring fight.
I'd rather them wrap it up.
I want my 15 minutes back.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. I'd rather the fight be quick and be very technical and interesting to watch than watching 15 minutes of just two idiots dancing around an octagon. It's just, to me, that's a waste of money. And if I were a promoter, I'd be like, fuck these guys. I'm not giving them a second chance.
Why are we even doing this?
Exactly. I mean,
it's like, I'm docking your pay.
Right. And those two fighters, Rampage and Mpumbu, or the hell his name is.
Okay.
Sorry to sound like an imperialist. I'm not. I promise.
Lies.
But
lies and deceits.
But I mean, if he were a great fighter, I'd be like, hey, that guy Mpumbu's awesome. But the fact that fight was kind of like watching grass grow. I just don't have too much to say about it. And I never have been a big fan. I don't like brawlers. I don't like watching two guys just go in the ring and just slug at each other with no technique.
You're a martial artist at heart. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, I guess you can call...
I'd say you are.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about, like, brawlers in general.
Right.
If you're talking about street fighters, like actual professional street fighters, yeah, they are... You can consider them martial artists, but, like...
Like Street Fighter 2?
No. Not like Guile and Blanca and all those... No. Sonic Boom! Hadouken! No. We're really aging ourselves, aren't we? We're
we're really dating ourselves.
dating ourselves. I meant that. Yeah, that word.
Anyway,
yeah.
Go on, sir.
Where was I? You keep distracting me, you asshole.
This is what makes the podcast fun.
Of course. You're messing up my equilibrium here. No, it's okay.
If anybody can do it, it's going to be me.
Yeah, that's true.
And I do it better than anybody else.
So it seems. No, I just think it's more interesting to watch technical fighters because you see the technique involved. You see a lot of what you wouldn't in your standard, brawling
in your standard
match.
street fight, you would not see so much of certain things.
Unless you have a professional. But other than that, it was refreshing to see, especially Rock Hold's fight and the Jones fight for sure. But I just hope that the next time we watch Jones that he's not extending his arms so much. And I hope
he's not doing the finger poke of whatever.
Right, which is ridiculous. He should know better.
He should, but I said, he's still young.
Yeah.
Dude, he's 26?
26, yeah.
And it's got a very good long streak.
Mm-hmm.
Already champion.
Yep. I hope he retains that title as long as he doesn't get into the George St. Pierre trap, which I don't see him doing, but as long as he doesn't get into that trap, he'll be a long time reigning champion, and I hope that's the. I
don't want to see the Georges St. Pierre's thing happen with him.
Yeah, winning
for points and all this other stuff.
Nor do I.
I could see him actually, what's the word I want to use? Actually, giving the fight a fight, actually being out there for it. We shall see, though.
Yeah,
anything can happen.
Sure.
The funny thing is, anything can happen.
And that's what makes this sport so interesting to watch. Just the fact that it can always surprise you. You can always go in with these ideas that a certain fighder will...
We'll do this, we'll do that.
Right, and then it'll completely be the opposite of that.
You could totally be proven wrong, like yourself. Not so much proven wrong, but you had a slight...
preconception.
Preconception saying... Oh, well, John Jones may wrap this up within 1 or 2 rounds of submission.
And that was wrong of me to assume. But, I mean, I didn't assume. I always know that...
Oh, it was a slight prediction on your part.
It was more of a prediction based upon previous fights.
Let me put it this... Okay, well, no. Go ahead and continue. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's just because his previous fights have been just that way, especially against the likes of Lyoto Machida. That really surprised me how quick
I really want to look up that match.
You really should. It's one of my favorites. It's... because you have two awesome fighters. And I even though Machida has had a few losses, he's still one of my favorites because I love that counter-punching style. I like that counter-striking style that he has. It's very elusive. Even his stance is not used by pretty much anyone else in the sport from what I've seen.
Okay.
And it allows him to be far more agile in the ring. And I admire him for that. But at the same time... because his grappling wasn't on par with John's, that's where he got into trouble.
So it's kind of like the whole... Wow. I really hate to bring him up again. Mm-hmm. Not that I hate to bring him up again, but it's something I heard in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
If he's going to hit you, I'm only going to hit you back. Bruce Lee.
Right.
Dragon. That's cool. So looking forward, okay, obviously John Jones wins over Glover Teixeira via decision. And this is some news on the dirt sheets that I've heard from Wrestling Observer Online and Figure 4 Daily, other stuff. This is something I know you want to see, and I would like to see as well. Gina Carano.
For sure.
She's coming up. Supposedly, from what I read online, she still has X amount of fights left on her Strikeforce contract to come to UFC.
Which she has to fulfill first.
Yes.
But
that pretty little thing is going to fight Ronda Rousey for the title sometime soon.
That's good. I'm looking forward to that.
What was the thing I told you earlier on? Who got pissed about that?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Misha Tate.
Using their looks for fights. Misha Tate.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. For one, you have to follow Gina Carano's career to see that she's not just a pretty face. She's very intelligent. She's very good at what she does. She's an amazing kickboxer. I have a lot of respect for her. She was champion for the longest time in Strikeforce.
Ooh, Strikeforce.
And I think I have a lot of admiration for even that division, Strikeforce, because they're the ones who brought women's MMA into the limelight.
The women's bantamweight division brought a lot of stuff out. So
absolutely. And I'm so glad that they did. I mean, I honestly, I look forward to the female matches a little more so because they seem to be more agile.
He wants to see the girls fight.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Justin's all about cat fights.
Oh, yeah, that's it. But, I mean, these chicks are awesome. They're hot in a completely different way, in the sense that they can kick some serious ass. They are very good at what they do, and I think that because of their agility, they're far more interesting. I'd rather watch women's MMA than the heavyweights. The heavyweights bore the shit out of me. It's like watching two battle tanks, shoot shells at each other. It's so boring, and I like a good fast fight. I like it when both fighters have trained to the point to where they don't get gassed. And you don't really see that. I mean, you see it occasionally in the women's division, but you don't see it a whole lot from what I've seen. I mean, with Carano, with Cyborg, with Rousey, Carmouche, they're all just phenomenal athletes, and I'm very impressed with even Misha Tate, who I think shouldn't have made that stupid comment about.
Oh, well, you said what you said. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like what I've heard in the past is that she's done the same thing. Like, used her looks to get the fight. Like, okay, well, her first fight in the UFC, as far as I know, like I could be wrong, was against Ronda Rousey for the title. That was that was Ronda's second fight. Just after Liz Carmouche. So, if that's not using a storyline or your looks to get a fight, I don't know what is.
Well, I don't know. I just think this is a stupid thing to focus on, for one. When was UFC ever about looks anyway? Who gives a shit? I mean, it's not
honestly, not really any time, but you know what? They have to draw some appeal.
I'm to a point, maybe. I understand that we're in a very superficial culture in that sense, but... And
on top of that, they're based out of Vegas. Very superficial.
Yeah, no shit.
Zufla.
But, this whole childish nonsense, making those sort of claims to me...
It's really just one person's opinion. That's the thing.
Opinions are like assholes. And
everybody has them, they all smell.
Exactly. And I think this is just... It's taking away from Carano's ability. And I think it does her a disservice. And I've always felt that there should be a level of respect between fighters.
True.
And I think Misha Tate kind of dishonors herself by saying stupid shit like that.
Well,
to be honest,
the thing that she's really pissed about is because the fact that she's not Gina Carano's not going to go through Misha Tate to get that title shot.
See, I understand that. That is a legit. If that were what she had said,
from what I've heard, that's the implementation. Behind
in that case, yes, I think Carano should have to go through the tiers. The
former champion, yeah,
sure.
The tiers, yeah.
And I think she'd have to earn it. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that, let's say, if the planets align somehow and she does take the title from Rousey.
Right.
If that were to happen, that means Tate would have the ability to challenge her and win the title. So it's not like she's going to be denied that opportunity to fight her. It's not like, it's never going to happen. And I mean, I'm sorry, but if Misha wanted that title enough, she would have had it by now.
True enough.
And understandably, I mean, yeah, Rousey's a tough lady. You can't just walk into a ring and expect to beat her easily. No way.
You can expect to be thrown around a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Have some fun.
Yeah.
But
she won all those judo championships for a reason. She's very good at what she does.
Right.
But I'm actually looking forward to seeing what Carano can do. I don't think she'll win, honestly. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I admire... See, it's one of those fights where I'd be happy either way, no matter how it went.
Oh my God, Ronda Rousey won. I'm happy. Oh my God, Gina Carano took the title.
Right.
I'm happy.
Right. But I'd be absolutely happy if Chris Cyborg got in there. She's my absolute favorite female fighter. She's a powerhouse. She has amazing speed and combinations, and she has a pretty decent ground game. She's not nearly as versed as Rousey, but I think she has really good takedown defense, and I think that putting her and Rousey together would be interesting because you'd have opposite strengths coming against each other.
And see how that goes.
And exactly, it'd be interesting to see because on one hand, you have Rousey who's amazing with grappling and with understanding how leverage works. It's like
the judoka style.
She very much so. She's a wizard when it comes to that. At the same time, Chris Cyborg, she is an amazing striker. She knows when you drop your guard, she'll hit you right in that instant. She is just on you like flies on shit, to be quite crude in the way I'm describing it. But she's good at what she does. She's an amazing Muay Thai specialist. She does have some very decent ground game, but more so ground game for ground defense. Like she's more so good with defending against it. So it would be interesting, in my opinion,
how these things would
see how they cancel each other out, if at all. So we shall see what happens in the days to come.
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you what, we're gonna wrap this up.
Indeed.
This was the MMA Talk Bendybotcast for UFC 172.
What a good one it was.
Oh yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one. And on top of that, we do have something else we want to review sometime soon. I think you need to see it, which was the Matt Brown versus Eric Silva fight. I've been told it's very good.
Okay, yeah.
So sometime soon.
Sounds like a plan.
And in the meantime, we would just leave you be. And yeah, I guess that's it. Anything else you want to say, Justin?
Auf Wiedersehen, mein Lieber.
Auf Wiedersehen.